What's the most humiliating way someone tried to assert power over you? My new supervisor, Marcus, made me stand outside his office door every morning for exactly 15 minutes before he'd let me in. Not sitting, standing, facing the wall like a kid in timeout while everyone walking by could see me. He said it was to teach me patience and respect for the chain of command. I was 34 years old with 8 years of experience in logistics, and this man was making me stand in a hallway like I'd gotten sent to the principal's office. The first time it happened, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe he was on a call or finishing something important. But when I tried to sit in one of the chairs outside his door, his assistant Wendy rushed over and told me Marcus had specifically instructed that I was to remain standing. I asked why, and she just shook her head and walked back to her desk without answering. The humiliation escalated from there. During team meetings, Marcus would interrupt me mid-sentence and ask if anyone else had thoughts worth hearing. He'd assign me projects with impossible deadlines, then publicly criticize me when I couldn't finish in time. He moved my desk 3 times in 2 months, each time to a worse location, until I ended up in a storage closet that had been converted into a workspace. The fluorescent light above my desk flickered constantly, and I could hear the building's pipes groaning through the walls. I started documenting everything, keeping a record of every interaction in case I needed to file an HR complaint. But here's what kept me from going straight to HR. Other people at the company were acting strange around me, not mean but nervous, like they knew something I didn't. My coworker Diana would start to say something during lunch, then catch herself and change the subject. I'd walk into the break room and conversations would stop. People who'd been friendly during my first few weeks now avoided eye contact. Marcus had only been my supervisor for 6 weeks, but the behavior of everyone around me suggested something bigger was happening. I tried asking Diana directly what was going on, and she looked genuinely scared. She said she couldn't talk about it, that I should just keep my head down and do whatever Marcus asked. When I pressed her on why, she said something that made no sense at the time. She said this happened before, and it didn't end well for the last person who asked questions. What happened before? What last person? But Diana was already walking away, and she made sure we were never alone together after that conversation. The standing outside his door continued every morning, 15 minutes exactly. Sometimes Marcus would watch me through the glass window of his office, just staring while pretending to read something on his desk. Other times he'd make phone calls and laugh loudly, clearly enjoying the fact that I could hear him but couldn't enter. One morning, a man I'd never seen before walked past me in the hallway, stopped, and studied my face for a long moment. He was older, maybe late 50s, wearing an expensive suit that didn't match the casual dress code of our office. He asked if I was the new guy in logistics, and I said yes. He nodded slowly, then said something I'll never forget. He said, "You look just like him." Before I could ask what he meant, he walked into Marcus's office without knocking, and the door closed behind him. Through the glass, I watched them have an intense conversation. Both of them kept glancing at me standing in the hallway. I started digging. Late at night, I searched the company's internal database for records of previous employees in my position. The logistics coordinator role had been filled 3 times in the past 4 years. Each person had left suddenly. No forwarding information, no LinkedIn updates, nothing. I found one name, Ryan Porter, and searched for him on social media. His accounts existed but hadn't been updated in 2 years. His last post was a photo of our office building with the caption, "Starting the new job tomorrow." Then nothing. I searched for the other 2 names and found the same pattern. New job announcements, then complete digital silence. I tried calling the number listed for Ryan in the old employee directory, and a woman answered. When I said I was trying to reach Ryan Porter, who used to work at my company, there was a long pause. Then she asked how I got this number and why I was looking for him. Her voice was shaking. I said I just wanted to ask him about his experience working there, and she started crying. She said Ryan was her son, and that I needed to stop asking questions about him or about that company. She begged me to just quit my job and walk away while I still could. I asked what she meant by while I still could, and she hung up. The next morning, I stood outside Marcus's office, like always. But this time, when the 15 minutes ended and his assistant waved me in, Marcus wasn't alone. The older man in the expensive suit was there. So was our CEO, who I'd only seen once at the company orientation. And sitting in the corner, not making eye contact with anyone, was someone I recognized from the old employee photos. Ryan Porter. Very much alive. But the look on his face told me everything about why he'd disappeared. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below. The office goes completely silent as I take in the scene before me. Ryan Porter's eyes are fixed on the floor, his hands trembling in his lap. He's thinner than in his employee photo, with dark circles under his eyes and a sickly pallor to his skin. He looks like someone who hasn't seen sunlight in months. "Please, sit down," the CEO says, gesturing to the only empty chair in the room. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. "We have a lot to discuss." I remain standing, my back pressed against the door. "What's going on? Why is Ryan here? Everyone thinks he disappeared." The older man in the expensive suit steps forward. "My name is Dr. Weiss. I'm the head of research and development for a specialized division of the company." His voice is clinical, detached, like he's discussing the weather instead of a man who's been missing for 2 years. Marcus moves to stand between me and the door. "You've been asking a lot of questions lately. About Ryan, about the other coordinators. We thought it was time you got some answers." The CEO nods. "You see, our company isn't just in logistics. That's our public face, certainly. But our real work happens beneath this building." He walks to the window, looking out at the city below. "We're developing the future of human productivity." "I don't understand what that has to do with me," I say, though a cold feeling is spreading through my chest. "Look at him," Dr. Weiss says, pointing at Ryan. "Then look in the mirror sometime. The resemblance is remarkable, not just physically, but genetically." Ryan finally looks up and I see it immediately. We could be brothers. The same jawline, similar eye color, even the shape of our ears. It's unsettling. "We've been working on biological enhancements," the CEO continues. "Implants that integrate with the human nervous system. Improvements that could revolutionize worker efficiency. But we need subjects with very specific genetic markers." Dr. Weiss opens a tablet and turns it toward me. On the screen are photos of 5 men, all with a striking resemblance to me and Ryan. These were all logistics coordinators here. Each one matched the genetic profile we need for our research. "What happened to them?" I ask, though I already know the answer from the grim expression on Ryan's face. "Complications," Dr. Weiss says simply. "The human body is remarkably complex. There were rejection issues with the early prototypes. lips. Ryan slowly rolls up his sleeve, revealing a series of surgical scars running from his wrist to his elbow. Along the veins, I can see small lumps under his skin, like something's been implanted there. They put things inside me, he whispers. Metal and circuitry that connects to my nerves. They can make my muscles move even when I don't want them to. That's enough, Ryan, Marcus says sharply. The CEO steps closer to me. You're the perfect candidate. Your genetic profile is exactly what we need for the next phase of testing. Marcus has been evaluating your psychological resilience with the standing exercise and other pressures. The 15 minutes, I say, suddenly understanding. It was a test, a conditioning ritual, Marcus corrects. We needed to see how you'd respond to arbitrary authority, how compliant you'd be. And you passed with flying colors, Doctor, Weiss adds. Most people would have complained to HR or quit after the second week. But you endured. You documented everything instead of acting impulsively. That's exactly the kind of mental discipline we need. I look at Ryan again, at the defeated slump of his shoulders, the vacant look in his eyes. You're experimenting on people. That's illegal. It's torture. It's progress, the CEO says, firmly. And it's completely sanctioned by certain government agencies who see the potential benefits. I won't do it, I say, backing toward the door. You can't force me to participate in this. Dr. Weiss sighs. We were hoping for voluntary cooperation, but we're prepared either way. I turn and yank the door open, only to find 2 security guards standing there. I try to push past them, but they grab my arms, their grip painfully tight. This could have been so much easier, Marcus says, opening a drawer in his desk. He pulls out a syringe filled with clear liquid. But don't worry, you'll come around to our way of thinking. They all do, eventually. I kick and struggle against the guards, but they're too strong. One of them forces me into the chair while the other holds my arm steady. The 15 minutes was just the beginning, Marcus says as he approaches with the syringe. Think of it as a warm-up for what comes next. People know I'm here, I say desperately. Diana knows something's wrong. Ryan's mother was paid very well to forget she ever had a son, the CEO interrupts, and Diana won't say anything. She values her position here too much. Marcus rolls up my sleeve, tapping the inside of my elbow to find a vein. This won't hurt much, he says with that same cold smile I've come to hate. And when you wake up, you'll be part of something truly revolutionary. The needle slides into my arm, and I feel an immediate burning sensation spreading through my veins. My vision starts to blur at the edges, the faces around me becoming indistinct. The last thing I see before darkness closes in is Ryan Porter's face, and the single tear rolling down his cheek as he watches another person suffer the same fate he couldn't escape. Welcome to the program, Dr. Weiss says, his voice growing distant as consciousness slips away. Your contribution to science will be remembered. As the sedative takes hold, I realize with horrifying clarity why they made me stand outside that door for 15 minutes every day. It wasn't just about compliance or humiliation. It was preparation for a lifetime of standing still while they did whatever they wanted to my body and mind. And now, like Ryan before me, I was powerless to stop it. I wake up with a pounding headache, my vision blurry, and my mouth dry as sandpaper. The fluorescent lights above me are too bright, making me squint as I try to get my bearings. I'm lying on a hospital bed, but this isn't a normal medical facility. The walls are bare concrete, and there are no windows, just metal doors with small reinforced glass panels. The air smells antiseptic and cold, with an underlying chemical odor I can't identify. When I try to sit up, I discover my wrists and ankles are secured to the bed with padded restraints. Panic rises in my throat as memories flood back Marcus's office, Ryan Porter's haunted eyes, the syringe, and then darkness. He's awake, a clinical voice says from somewhere beyond my field of vision. Footsteps approach, and Dr. Weiss appears beside the bed, clipboard in hand. How are you feeling? Let me go, I croak, my voice raspy. This is kidnapping. It's illegal. Dr. Weiss makes a note on his clipboard. Your vitals are stabilizing nicely. The sedative should be completely out of your system within the hour. He speaks as if I hadn't said anything at all. Where am I demand, pulling against the restraints. You're in a research facility beneath the company headquarters, he explains calmly. Level B3 to be precise. We've been operating here for nearly a decade, completely off the books. The door opens and Diana steps in, looking nervous. Her eyes dart around the room before settling on me. She's carrying a small tray with a paper cup of water. Diana? I stare at her in disbelief. You're part of this? She approaches cautiously, setting the tray on a small table beside the bed. I'm sorry, she whispers. I tried to warn you. This happened before. I quote her words back to her. You knew what they were doing to Ryan and the others, and you said nothing. Dr. Weiss steps back, observing our interaction with clinical interest. Diana's hands tremble as she picks up the cup of water. I can help you drink, she offers, avoiding my accusation. How many people have you watched them take, Diana? I ask, refusing the water. How many disappeared while you kept your head down? Her eyes fill with tears. 5, she admits. 5 coordinators before you. I didn't know at first, I swear. By the time I figured it out, I was in too deep. They told me they'd do the same to me if I talked. Dr. Weiss clears his throat. Miss Chen, that's enough. Please leave us. Diana hesitates, then places the cup back on the tray. As she turns to leave, she whispers, Ryan's the only one who survived the procedures. After she's gone, Dr. Weiss pulls up a chair and sits beside my bed. The others weren't compatible enough. Their bodies rejected the implants, leading to systemic failure. But Ryan, he's shown remarkable resilience. And you, he taps his pen against the clipboard. You're an even better match genetically. What are you trying to create? I ask, hoping to keep him talking while I test the restraints for any weakness. The future of labor, he says, his eyes lighting up with genuine passion. Imagine workers who never tire, who can process information at superhuman speeds, who can interface directly with computer systems. We're developing neuromechanical interfaces that enhance human capabilities beyond what evolution has provided. You're torturing people, I counter. You're killing them for corporate profit. He shakes his head. We're advancing human potential. Yes, there have been setbacks, but that's the nature of progress. The first heart transplant patients died too, but look where we are now. A nurse enters with a tray of medical equipment. I recognize syringes, vials, and what looks like a small electronic device with wires and needles. My heart rate spikes, and the monitor beside me beeps faster. Not yet, Dr. Weiss tells the nurse. Let's give him some time to adjust. Take him to observation room 4 for now. 2 security guards enter, and Dr. Weiss releases my restraints. The guards immediately grab my arms, hauling me to my feet. My legs feel weak, but I manage to stand as they escort me down a sterile hallway lined with doors similar to the one in my room. Through one of the windows, I catch a glimpse of Ryan Porter sitting on a bed, staring vacantly at a wall. There's a metallic device attached to the back of his neck, with thin wires disappearing under his skin. The guards take me to a small room with a cot, sink, and toilet. Unlike the medical room, there are no restraints here, but the door locks with a heavy click when they leave. I sit on the cot, trying to process everything. The walls are bare except for a single vent near the ceiling. As I examine the room more carefully, I notice a loose panel beneath the cot. Pulling it aside reveals a small space where someone has hidden a notebook. The handwriting is shaky but legible. It's Ryan's journal, documenting months of procedures and tests. His entries become increasingly disjointed over time. Day 37, third neural implant today. Pain is constant now. Dr. W says it's normal. Nerves adapting to interface. Can't sleep. Fingers twitch without my control. Day 58. They're testing motor control overrides. My body moves when they activate the system. I'm trapped inside while they drive me around like a car. Day 94. Found out what happened to Jacob, previous coordinator. System overloaded his brainstem. Seizures for 18 hours before death. They're adjusting my dosages based on his failure. I flip through more pages, each more disturbing than the last. The final entry is dated just 2 weeks ago. New coordinator starting soon. Marcus selected him already. Same 15-minute ritual they used on all of us. It's preparation standing still while someone else controls you. I'm hiding this journal for him. If you're reading this, try the maintenance tunnels during the Tuesday power test. Security systems reset for 90 seconds. Maybe you'll make it out. I didn't. I slide the journal back into its hiding place when I hear footsteps approaching. The door opens, and Marcus steps in, looking smug. Getting comfortable? He asks, leaning against the doorframe. You should. This is home now. Why me? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. Out of everyone at the company, why choose me? You think it was random that we hired you? Marcus laughs. We've been tracking genetic profiles for years. When Ryan started showing signs of instability, we put out job listings designed to attract candidates with your specific background. 8 years in logistics, detail-oriented, adaptable to changing environments, all code for the psychological profile we need. And the 15 minutes outside your door? Compliance conditioning, he explains, like he's discussing a normal business practice. Standing perfectly still while being observed, day after day, even when it makes no sense. It's a simple test. Those who can endure pointless discomfort without rebellion make better subjects for the later stages. You're all going to prison when this gets out, I say, but even to my own ears, it sounds hollow. Marcus steps closer, lowering his voice. Do you know how many government contracts we have? How many agencies benefit from our research? This isn't some rogue operation. It's the future, sanctioned by people much more powerful than you can imagine. He checks his watch. Rest up. Tomorrow, Dr. Weiss begins the preliminary assessments. The first implant goes in your spine, just below the cervical vertebrae. Most subjects find that one particularly memorable. After he leaves, I immediately check the vent Ryan mentioned. According to his journal, there's a power test every Tuesday, which would be tomorrow. If I can get into the maintenance tunnels during that 90-second window, I might have a chance. I spend the night planning, memorizing what little I can see of the facility through my door's window when guards pass by. I track their rotations, noting that they change shifts around what I guess is 6 a.m., based on when they bring breakfast trays to the rooms. The next day passes in a blur of medical tests. They draw blood, scan my brain, test my reflexes, and measure every conceivable aspect of my physiology. Dr. Weiss seems pleased with the results, which only increases my determination to escape. When they return me to my room that evening, I wait until the facility quiets down. According to Ryan's notes, the power test happens at 2 a.m. I remove the vent cover as quietly as possible and peer into the dark shaft beyond. At precisely 2 a.m., the lights flicker and go out. In the sudden darkness, I pull myself into the vent and begin crawling as fast as I can. The shaft leads to a larger maintenance tunnel, just as Ryan described. I drop down and run, following emergency exit signs toward what I hope is the parking garage. For a moment, I think I might actually make it. I reach a stairwell and climb 3 flights before pushing through a door into the dimly lit parking garage. The exit ramp is visible ahead, the night sky beyond it, the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I'm 20 feet from freedom when the lights suddenly flood the garage. Security guards pour in from multiple entrances, surrounding me with weapons drawn. Dr. Weiss steps forward from behind a concrete pillar. Did you really think we wouldn't know about Ryan's little journal? He asks, disappointment evident in his voice. We've been watching you read it through the camera hidden in your room. It's all part of the assessment process, seeing how you respond to the possibility of escape. As the guards grab me, Dr. Weiss steps closer. You're the perfect genetic match for our program, he says softly. The most compatible candidate we've ever found. Your test results today confirmed it. You're going to be our greatest success. They drag me back to the elevator, down to the facility that will become my prison and laboratory. As the doors close on the parking garage on Freedom, I catch a final glimpse of the night sky before descending back into the fluorescent hell beneath the company headquarters. The 15 minutes was just the beginning, Marcus says as they strap me to an operating table. Now the real work starts. I wake to the sensation of cold metal against my back and bright lights searing through my eyelids. When I try to move, I discover I'm strapped to an operating table, thick padded restraints securing my wrists, ankles, and forehead. The familiar antiseptic smell fills my nostrils, but there's something else, a metallic tang that makes my stomach turn. Ah, you're with us again, Dr. Weiss says, appearing at my side. He checks something on a monitor above my head. Your vitals are excellent, much better than Ryan's were at this stage. I turn my head as much as the restraint allows, scanning the sterile room. Medical equipment surrounds me, most of it unfamiliar and ominous looking. A tray of surgical instruments sits nearby, gleaming under the harsh lights. Where's Ryan? My voice comes out raspy, my throat dry from whatever sedative they used on me. Recovering from his latest procedure, Dr. Weiss answers, making notes on a tablet. He's quite resilient for someone who's been with us so long. Most subjects don't maintain cognitive function past the third neural implant. The door slides open, and the CEO walks in, dressed in an immaculate suit that seems out of place in this underground facility. His shoes click against the polished floor as he approaches my table. I understand you tried to escape last night, he says, his tone conversational, as if discussing the weather. I admire your initiative. It shows exactly the kind of resourcefulness we need in our program. What you're doing is illegal, I say through clenched teeth. Human experimentation without consent. Let me stop you there. The CEO interrupts, holding up a hand. What we're doing is creating the future. Do you know how many industries will be revolutionized by workers who can interface directly with computer systems? Who can process information at superhuman speeds? Who never need breaks or vacations? Dr. Weiss adjusts something on an IV drip connected to my arm. The implants we've developed allow direct neural control over computerized systems. Imagine logistics coordinators who can mentally track thousands of shipments simultaneously, who can optimize routes in real time without software. You're creating slaves, I counter. The CEO's smile doesn't reach his eyes. We prefer to think of it as the next stage of human evolution. And you, he places a hand on my shoulder. You're the perfect candidate to help us achieve it. I feel a cold sensation spreading through my arm from the IV. Not a sedative this time. I remain fully conscious, but a strange numbness begins to creep through my body. This is just a mild muscle relaxant, Dr. Weiss explains, noticing my panicked expression. We need to prepare your nervous system for the preliminary scans. As they work around me, I force myself to remain calm, to think. Fighting won't help. I need to be smarter than that. Ryan's been here for years and hasn't escaped. Direct confrontation clearly isn't the answer. What if I cooperate? I ask suddenly, causing both men to look at me with surprise. Cooperate, Dr. Weiss repeats, skepticism evident in his voice. I swallow hard. If this is really about advancing human potential, I want to understand it. I want to know what you're trying to achieve. Maybe I can help. The CEO exchanges a glance with Dr. Weiss. An interesting change of heart. Self-preservation, I admit, trying to sound genuine. I saw what happened to Ryan. I don't want to end up like that. If I'm going to be part of this program anyway, I'd rather understand it than fight it. Dr. Weiss studies my face, searching for deception. Most subjects take much longer to reach this conclusion. I'm adaptable, I say. Isn't that why you hired me? After a long moment, the CEO nods. Loosen the restraints. Let's see if our new participant is as cooperative as he claims. Over the next few days, I maintain the facade of willing participation. I ask questions about the program, express interest in the technology, and gradually earn a small measure of trust. The security protocols around me relax slightly. I'm still confined to the facility, but I'm allowed limited movement within certain areas without constant guards. Dr. Weiss seems particularly pleased with my apparent conversion. He shows me the lab where they develop the neural implants, explaining the technology with genuine enthusiasm. It would be fascinating if it weren't so horrifying. The first generation of implants failed because they attempted to override the host's neural pathways, he explains, showing me microscopic devices under a powerful electron microscope. We've learned that integration is more effective than domination. The new implants work with the brain's existing architecture. Is that what Ryan has? I ask, trying to sound merely curious. Ryan has a hybrid system, some first-generation components, some newer designs. That's why his results have been inconsistent. Dr. Weiss sighs. He's provided invaluable data, but his neural pathways show signs of degradation. Each night, I return to my room no longer called a cell, though it's still locked from the outside and plan. I've been mapping the facility in my mind, noting guard rotations, security cameras, and potential escape routes. But I need help from the outside. My opportunity comes 5 days after my conversion, when Diana delivers my evening meal. She avoids eye contact as she sets the tray down, clearly uncomfortable. Diana, I say quietly, I need your help. She glances nervously at the camera in the corner of my room. I can't. They're going to kill me, I whisper, just like they killed the others. You know it's wrong. Her hands tremble slightly as she arranges the items on my tray. They'll do the same to me. Not if we expose them first. I lean closer. Your phone, can you get a message out? Diana hesitates, then gives an almost imperceptible nod. The cameras in the east corridor malfunction sometimes, between 9:15 and 9:30. The next evening, I request access to the computer lab, claiming I want to study the neural interface programming. Marcus, who still watches me with suspicion despite my apparent cooperation, reluctantly approves, but assigns a guard to monitor me. I need to use the bathroom, I tell the guard after an hour of legitimate work. He sighs, but escorts me to the restroom in the east corridor. It's 9:17. As we pass a junction in the hallway, I stumble deliberately, falling against the guard. Sorry, I mutter, regaining my balance. Still a bit dizzy from the medications. The guard grunts in acknowledgement, unaware that I've just palmed his access card. When we reach the bathroom, I ask if I can have a moment of privacy. Door stays open, he says, but steps back to give me some space. Inside, I quickly slip the card into the crack between the sink and the wall. The predetermined drop point Diana and I arrange through whispered conversations during meal deliveries. Then I use the facilities normally and return to the computer lab. That night, Diana retrieves the card and uses it to access the main database. The next day, when she delivers my breakfast, she slips me a small data drive. I downloaded everything I could find, she whispers. Patient records, experiment logs, financial transactions. It's all there. Thank you, I say, hiding the drive in my mattress. Now we need to get it out of here. My shift ends at 8 tonight. I can take it with me. They'll search you, I warn. Diana's eyes harden with resolve. I didn't know she possessed. Not everywhere they won't. That evening, I wait anxiously in my room, watching the clock. At 7:55, I hear a commotion in the hallway, raised voices, running footsteps. My heart sinks. Something's gone wrong. The door to my room slams open and Marcus storms in, his face contorted with rage. 2 security guards flank him, weapons drawn. Where is it? He demands, grabbing me by the shirt and shoving me against the wall. Where's what? I ask, playing dumb. The data drive, you piece of shit! He slams me harder against the wall. Diana's been caught trying to smuggle it out. She told us everything. My blood runs cold. I don't know what you're talking about. Marcus nods to the guards, who begin tearing apart my room. One of them flips the mattress and finds the drive almost immediately. You really thought you could outsmart us? Marcus laughs bitterly. We've been doing this for years. Your little rebellion was predictable from the start. Alarms begin to sound throughout the facility, a piercing wail that makes my ears ring. Marcus's radio crackles to life. Sir, we have a situation at the main entrance, a voice reports. Local police are demanding access to the building. They claim they received evidence of illegal activities. Marcus's face pales. He turns to me with murder in his eyes. What did you do? I smile despite the fear coursing through me. Diana made a copy. The alarms grow louder as chaos erupts throughout the facility. facility. Marcus drags me from my room, the guards following close behind. We hurry through corridors now filled with panicked staff members running in all directions. The CEO wants him in containment level 4. Marcus barks at the guards. No one gets to him until this situation is under control. As we round a corner, we nearly collide with Dr. Weiss, who's carrying an armful of files and a laptop. Marcus, what's happening? He demands, looking flustered. Someone leaked information to the police, Marcus says, glaring at me. We need to secure all subjects and destroy any compromising data. Dr. Weiss looks at me, then back at Marcus. Something shifts in his expression. No, he says quietly. What do you mean no? Marcus asks, his grip on my arm tightening. I mean, this has gone too far, Doctor. Weiss sets down his files and straightens his posture. 5 people have died, Marcus. 5 human beings. I told myself it was for science, for progress, but he shakes his head. I can't do this anymore. Are you insane? Marcus hisses. After everything we've built, everything we've achieved nothing but suffering, Dr. Weiss counters, and I won't be part of it any longer. Marcus pulls a gun from inside his jacket, pointing it at Dr. Weiss. The CEO was right about you. You've gone soft. The sound of breaking glass echoes from somewhere above us, followed by shouting. The police must be entering the building. It's over, Marcus, I say. Let us go, and maybe you can still make a deal. His finger tightens on the trigger, his face twisted with hatred. But before he can fire, Dr. Weiss lunges forward, grabbing the gun. They struggle briefly before the weapon discharges with a deafening bang. Marcus staggers backward, a look of shock on his face as he presses a hand to his bleeding shoulder. The guards hesitate, clearly uncertain whether to help Marcus or restrain Dr. Weiss. Run! Dr. Weiss shouts at me, holding the gun on Marcus and the guards. Take the emergency stairs to the main floor. The police are there. I don't need to be told twice. I sprint down the corridor toward the stairwell, adrenaline masking the pain from my injuries. Behind me, I hear the CEO's voice over the facility's PA system. Attention all personnel. Initiate complete lockdown and data purge. I repeat, complete lockdown and data purge. I reach the stairwell and take the steps 2 at a time, my lungs burning with exertion. 3 floors up, I hear the sound of police radios and shouted commands. I'm almost there. The door to the main floor is locked, but I pound on it frantically. Help! I'm down here! They're keeping people prisoner! The door bursts open, revealing 2 police officers with weapons drawn. Behind them, I can see more officers securing the lobby, some leading handcuffed employees away. I'm one of the test subjects, I gasp, hands raised to show I'm unarmed. There are others down there. Ryan Porter, he's been here for years. You need to help them. As the officers radio for backup, I hear sirens outside, more police, ambulances, maybe even FBI. Through the lobby windows, I can see flashing lights illuminating the night. It's finally over. The 15 minutes of standing outside Marcus's door each morning, the humiliation, the fear, it was all leading to this moment. A moment when the truth would finally come to light. And as I'm escorted outside, breathing fresh air for the first time in what feels like forever, I make a silent promise to Ryan and all the others who suffered in that underground hell. Justice is coming, and no one will ever have to stand outside that door again. The flashing lights of police and FBI vehicles illuminate the night as I'm escorted out of the building, a thermal blanket wrapped around my shoulders. The cool night air feels surreal against my skin after weeks underground. Paramedics rush forward, guiding me toward an ambulance where they begin checking my vitals. We need to go back for the others, I insist, grabbing the arm of a nearby FBI agent. Ryan Porter is still down there. He's been trapped for years. The agent, a stern-faced woman with her hair pulled back in a tight bun, nods. SWAT teams are sweeping the facility now. We'll find everyone. Through the chaos, I spot the CEO being led out in handcuffs, his immaculate suit now disheveled, his face contorted with rage. Our eyes meet briefly before he's shoved into the back of a police car. For a moment, I feel a surge of satisfaction seeing the man who orchestrated so much suffering finally facing consequences. A commotion near the building entrance draws my attention. Medical personnel rush forward with gurneys as more people are brought out. I recognize some of the lab technicians, security guards, and then my heart jumps Ryan Porter, looking disoriented and terrified as paramedics support him. The metallic implant at the back of his neck catches the flashing lights, a grotesque reminder of what they did to him. Ryan, I call out, but he doesn't seem to hear me over the noise. Sir, we need to get you to the hospital, the paramedic beside me says firmly. You're showing signs of malnutrition and possible drug interactions from whatever they gave you. I reluctantly allow myself to be loaded into the ambulance, watching through the rear windows as the raid continues. Just before the doors close, I glimpse Marcus being carried out on a stretcher, his shoulder bandaged where Dr. Weiss shot him. Even injured and defeated, his eyes burn with hatred as they sweep across the scene. At the hospital, I'm poked, prodded, and scanned for hours. Doctors examine me with a mixture of horror and fascination when I explain the experiments. They take blood samples, run toxicology screens, and perform detailed neurological tests to ensure no permanent damage was done. You're lucky, the neurologist tells me, reviewing my scans. They hadn't started the surgical procedures yet. The sedatives and muscle relaxants they administered should clear your system within 72 hours. In the bed next to mine, separated by a thin curtain, I hear Ryan whimpering in his sleep. The doctors are less optimistic about his prognosis. After 2 years of experimental surgeries and neural implants, his recovery will be long and uncertain. The following morning, FBI agents arrive to take my statement. I recount everything: the 15-minute standing ritual, Diana's warnings, the underground facility, Dr. Weiss's explanations of the program, and the evidence Diana helped me gather. We've been investigating this company for months, the lead agent explains. Reports of missing employees, unusual government contracts, suspicious financial transactions. But we couldn't get solid evidence until Diana Chen sent those files to our contact at the post. Is Diana okay? I ask, suddenly worried about her fate in all this chaos. Miss Chen is in protective custody. Her cooperation has been invaluable. The agent pauses, checking her notes. We've arrested 17 people so far, including the CEO and your supervisor, Marcus. What about Dr. Weiss? He's cooperating fully. Turned himself in after helping you escape. He's already provided testimony about the program's origins and funding sources. Over the next few days, I learned more about the scope of the operation. The company had been running the illegal human experimentation program for nearly a decade, with funding from shadowy government contracts and private investors hoping to profit from enhanced worker technology. 5 previous logistics coordinators had died during the experiments, their bodies disposed of through a medical waste facility owned by a subsidiary company. Ryan Porter was the only long-term survivor, and his condition continues to concern doctors. The neural implants have fused with his nervous system in ways they've never seen before. Specialized surgeons are consulted, but removing all the devices might cause more damage than leaving some of them in place. 3 weeks after the raid, I'm released from the hospital. My apartment feels strange after my time underground, too open, too bright, too normal. I jump at small noises and struggle to sleep without sedatives. The therapist assigned to me calls it PTSD and assures me it's a normal response to what I experienced. Diana visits me the day after my release, bringing takeout and news about the investigation. They found Marcus trying to destroy evidence in the lab when the building caught fire, she explains, picking at her food. He got trapped behind a security door when the system malfunctioned during the data purge. Suffered third-degree burns before firefighters reached him. Is he? I can't bring myself to finish the question. He's alive, in the prison ward of the burn unit. Diana sets down her fork. I'm sorry I didn't do more sooner. I was so scared they'd do to me what they did to the others. You saved us all, I tell her, meaning it. Without you, they would have continued for years. She smiles weakly. The FBI says we'll both need to testify when the case goes to trial. Ryan too, if he's well enough. The trial preparation consumes the next few months. Prosecutors build a case against the CEO, Marcus, and 12 other executives and researchers involved in the program. Dr. Weiss accepts a plea deal in exchange for his testimony, avoiding life imprisonment, but still facing significant jail time for his role. Ryan's recovery is slow but steady. The specialized medical team manages to remove some of the more invasive implants, though others remain permanently embedded in his nervous system. When I visit him in the rehabilitation center, I barely recognize the frightened, broken man from Marcus's office. His eyes have life again, and though his movements are sometimes jerky and uncoordinated from nerve damage, he's regaining control. They're paying for everything, he tells me during one visit, gesturing around the private facility. The government seized the company's assets. There's a fund for all the victims. 6 months after the raid, I find myself in Washington, D.C., preparing to testify before a congressional committee on corporate ethics and human experimentation. The case has become national news, sparking debates about corporate oversight and the ethics of human enhancement technology. The hearing room is packed with journalists, industry representatives, and families of victims. I spot Ryan sitting with his mother in the front row, the same woman whose shaking voice had begged me to quit when I called Ryan's number all those months ago. She looks at me with grateful eyes as I take my seat at the witness table. Mr. Thompson, the committee chairwoman begins. Please describe for the record your experience as a logistics coordinator at Nexus Technologies, particularly the daily ritual your supervisor Marcus Williams required of you. I lean toward the microphone. Every morning for 6 weeks, I was required to stand outside Marcus's office door for exactly 15 minutes. I wasn't allowed to sit, speak, or leave until he opened the door. At the time, I thought it was just workplace harassment. I later learned it was part of a conditioning program to prepare employees for human experimentation. My testimony lasts for hours, detailing everything from my cramped storage closet workspace with its flickering light to the underground facility where Ryan and others were tortured in the name of progress. When I describe the operating tables, implants, and Dr. Weiss's clinical explanations of their enhancements, several committee members visibly recoil. Ryan's testimony follows mine, his voice sometimes faltering as he recounts his 2 years of captivity, the surgical procedures performed without proper anesthesia, the sensation of losing control of his own body when they activated the neural implants, the nights spent listening to other test subjects screaming until they went silent forever. The congressional hearing leads to legislation strengthening oversight of corporate research and establishing new protections for whistleblowers. Nexus Technologies is dismantled, its legitimate assets sold off to pay restitution to victims and their families. The CEO receives a life sentence for multiple counts of kidnapping, torture, and murder. Marcus, despite his injuries, is sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. Diana uses her portion of the settlement to establish a support group for survivors of corporate abuse, focusing particularly on helping the families of the coordinators who didn't survive. She invites me to speak at their first meeting, but I'm not ready yet. The nightmares are still too frequent, the memories too raw. Instead, I focus on rebuilding my life. With help from my settlement money and a reference from the FBI agent who led the raid, I find a new logistics position at a smaller company with an impeccable ethical record. During my interview, the manager notices my hesitation when he shows me my workspace. Is something wrong with the office? He asks. I explain my history briefly, including the 15-minute standing ritual and everything that followed. His face grows serious as he listens. That's absolutely horrific, he says when I finish. I can assure you, we don't have any unusual rituals here, and if you ever feel uncomfortable with anything, my door is always open, no standing required. It's a small joke, but it makes me smile for what feels like the first time in months. 1 year after the raid, I visit Ryan at his mother's house, where he's continuing his recovery. The neural implants still cause him occasional pain and muscle spasms, but he's regained most of his independence. We sit on the back porch, watching the sunset. Do you ever think about what they were trying to create? Ryan asks suddenly. The enhanced workers, the neural interfaces with computers? I consider the question. Sometimes. The technology itself could have been revolutionary if they hadn't been so cruel and reckless about developing it. Ryan nods slowly. Dr. Weiss wrote to me from prison, said he started with good intentions, helping people with spinal injuries, advancing human capabilities. Somewhere along the way, profit became more important than ethics. We sit in silence for a while, two survivors of an experiment that nearly destroyed us both. I never stand still anymore, Ryan says eventually. Even when I'm waiting somewhere, I always keep moving. Can't bear to just stand in one place. I understand completely. Some mornings, I still wake up in a panic, thinking I'm late for my 15 minutes outside Marcus's door. Some habits, even the ones forced upon us, are hard to break, but as I drive home that evening, I realize I'm finally starting to feel free. The company that tortured us is gone. The people responsible are in prison. And I will never again stand outside anyone's door, waiting for permission to exist.